these experiences through the Apple App Store. That is no longer going to be a problem once Solana Mobile is live. And so the incredible experiences that are unlocked by Solana Pay, by compression, will be completely available on Solana Mobile. And so we are, there's dozens of projects. You heard them talking about the Grizzly Hackathon, everything that's happening there. We are just like the tip of the spear of what is coming. And so we are incredibly excited for Solana Mobile to be here, so that all of the primitives that are available that we are stitching together, so many more companies can do, and then we can hopefully all compose together and create the next wave of crypto adoption.
Amazing. Thank you for that, Mark. And last but certainly not least, Laura from Solana Mobile.
Hey everyone, thank you for having me here. So it's great to be here and great to hear what ORCA, ASSETDASH, and DIALECT has said about mobile, especially mobile on Solana. So, and was Mark saying that now it's not going to be the case? It's true. We've been excited for this moment for mobile to become a thing on Web3 for a long time, but we also feel almost the pressure and the importance of our job that's weighing on our shoulders. But that said, I hope most of you know and saw our announcement last week that Saga is coming out officially in 2 weeks. So let me go back a little bit. So what is Saga? What is Solana Mobile? So Saga is a purpose-built hardware that is a flagship Android phone, but also has crypto function built into it. And then Solana Mobile is both the hardware and the software that resides currently on both on Saga. So Saga, the hardware is, as I said, a flagship phone, but it has Seedvault built into it. And we can go into more details of why it enables the security that we actually need for a mobile lifestyle, but it's also on Web3. And SMS, Solana Mobile Stack, it's a package of software capabilities. Those are enabling for developers to build on Web3, but on mobile, and which will bring new experiences for users that is currently not existing on mobile Web3. So Web3 is going to continue to grow, as we all know, and it's not going anywhere. But right now, all of our Web3 users are kind of interacting with blockchains in a very Web1 manner. We kind of all together skipped Web2. So we are trying to bring Web3 into the mobile era and actually bring the best experiences of Web3 onto the mobile platform, which is the most prevalent medium that we actually interact with internet. So that's a gist. We can go into more details, but really excited to be here.
Amazing. Thank you, Laura. And I completely agree. In a lot of ways, we're in the dinosaur age of tech, right? We're like in that early 2000s era before Android, before Apple iOS. We're kind of stuck in those, stuck in that era. But for people that remember, history showed that there was an explosion of development, right? Like almost like a Cambrian explosion of developers and users, and everyone was building apps kind of in the early 2010s, right? And I think we're going to see in many ways a microcosm or a repeat of that phenomena in the Web3 sphere. So I guess my question to the panel is, Saga and Solana Mobile, the stack itself, are going to bring huge upgrades in terms of security, developer experience, as well as just the user experience of being able to use these applications natively. Which one of those kind of advancements are you guys most excited about as it relates to what you're building? ASSETDASH, you can go ahead.
Yeah, great question. I think a good way to just provide some insight on our side to how important Saga and Solana Mobile is going to be is, just our experience now, a year and a half shipping to the App Store. and the amount of confusion and lack of clarity around the policies when it comes to crypto and NFTs. There's definitely a need in the marketplace for a crypto native uh, app platform for mobile. And I think that in itself is going to spur a lot of innovation. I think one of the big problems today, and anyone who's shipped apps to the store in the crypto sphere is well aware of this, is the policies, particularly on the Apple side, are very backwards when it comes to crypto and NFTs, and they put up a lot of uh, complications when it comes to doing things that could actually create a lot of new products that would lead to mass adoption, right? So things like minting NFTs in app, not possible. Things like being able to, unlock, certain, perks and rewards and, benefits based on, things that you're doing on chain, very difficult. So I think in general, uh, what is happening on the Solana mobile side is actually going to lead to a lot of innovation that currently is being held back on the traditional app stores. And I think once that happens, it's actually going to drive the other app stores as well to focus on maybe unlocking a lot of this potential that right now that they're holding back, I guess, from a wanting to have more control over the ecosystems, and I think B, just having a general anti-crypto stance. So I think one of the things that we're super excited about is all of the feature functionality that will be able to be unleashed on a platform that is very pro crypto and has these primitives built in natively into the app store and into the developer experience that will take place on Solana mobile.
Amazing answer. Thank you for that.
Yes, so I would like to echo that. So actually, for quite a while last year, after Ori Yutaro spoke at the Saga announcement event in New York, the team was very excited about building on mobile and looking at the pivoting our future roadmap into more mobile related. Actually, as of right now, Orca's product lead has a very deep mobile experience. But then after looking at all of the difficult policies around publishing an app that is crypto related, or in the nature of Orca, a crypto marketplace, it was just very difficult for us to know whether we can actually get through an app store, even if we build something. So we made a very difficult decision to not move forward for that particular part of our roadmap, which is why having something like Saga and having the ability to publish a Web3 native app is so powerful, and it's going to empower and encourage a lot more builders to be able to have a mobile first strategy on their roadmap. And the next thing I would say is Seed Vault. So right now, Orca can be like Orca's mobile front end can be accessed through Phantom Explorer or any other Explorer, but there are arguably very few protections for your private keys on a mobile device right now. And there's a lot more security features you can do, like on a laptop, right? So having that C Vault allowing more control on your private keys is going to encourage more users to feel secure about deploying different strategies on trading, or just like simply using putting more money on their mobile wallet, and that is going to allow more crypto curious users to try and download an app and move some money in there and play around with DeFi. So for me, I'm very excited about C Vault and seeing how that will encourage more users to try crypto for the first time.
I'll echo everything that they're saying. The App Store is 100% a huge blocker to both our product velocity as well as the clarity with which we can think about our roadmap and what is possible. And so there's this huge blinder, I think, placed on our ability to think about future innovations because we spend so much time thinking about App Store policies. I'll also echo what KZ was saying about the Seed Vault, and primarily for us at Dialect, how we think about it. So right now there is a wallet embedded inside Dialect, so that it enables you to interact with the blockchain via the messenger that we built. But in a Solana mobile world, where it's essentially how we think about it is just it's like a ledger with an incredible like with a phone on top of it. And so what that enables is for us to think less about having a wallet embedded into the messenger, and we are just this user interface to interact with your various key pairs. And you can imagine, as many of you guys probably have, you have wallets that are specifically for DeFi, probably multiple wallets within your different DeFi apps that you're interacting with. I have multiple wallets for all of the different kinds of NFTs that I interact with. And so stitching together all of these different parts of your identity for different use cases and all these sorts of things, that is the job that we think we are helping with as a messenger. And so you can interact with all of these different parts of your your on-chain identity via an app like a Dialect, and you can get these smart message notifications from different applications that you interact with, and then via the seed vault you can delegate which wallet you would like to sign with and believe in the security behind all of that. So these are things that create enormous frictions for a lot of people when you're thinking about how do you interact with all this different stuff on desktop. You're switching between wallets. You might have one wallet on a Soulflare or a Phantom or a Glow, and you're bouncing across all these different things. And so this is one of the ways that we think Solana Mobile unlocks a lot of new innovations and enables apps like Dialect and other ones that will emerge that allows you to think about how you can interact with all these different identities that you have on chain across DeFi and NFTs and DAOs and all these other sorts of things.
Yeah, thank you guys. I love that all the users here, all the builders here really get why we're building this. So it makes it feel really good that we're doing the right thing for the community. So from Solana Mobile's perspective, so exactly what KZ, Matthias, and Mark said. So on the dApp Store front, why we decided to build it is we saw in the marketplace that right now we have this duopoly, and this duopoly is not friendly to crypto and blockchain apps. So that's why we decided to go along at this and ignite a match, ignite a fire in them. So right now, our App Store, two things that are important for the builders. One is on Apple, you have a 30% Apple tax. Our store, we do not charge fees. You can set up whatever payment method that you want, and we do not stipulate what payment method you use, and we actually do not charge a fee to be on our store. So that's a huge part. And the second part is just simply getting onto the App Store. Right now, neither Apple or Google is friendly to crypto apps, Apple especially. And I know a number of our dApps in our store and in the ecosystem have had issues with Apple in the past just month and weeks. So our policy is friendly to crypto apps or any apps that are built on chain. That's what we're trying to solve with a dApp Store. It's access and also just lower the barrier with the fees. So dApp Store. And then the other one is kind of what Mark touched on. So the Seed Vault. Seed Vault really solves problems for both users and developers. So he talked about from a developer end, if you are an app, you want to be the best at what you do. You want to focus on building the app and the best user experience and an experience that the users will love. The last thing you want to worry about is also protecting, well, not the last thing, but like having to build a whole program that protect people's keys. So if you're a dApp developer, if you can delegate that to the phone or to the platform, that's probably the best thing that could happen. And then you can focus on building your dApp. So that is what Seed Vault does. If you're a dApp builder, building on Solana Mobile, you don't have to ever worry about protecting the keys. You don't ever have to touch the keys. So that actually really frees up a lot of capacity and time to allow them to focus on what they do the best. And on the user side, so right now, the self-custody landscape looks like you have a ledger, which is super secure, but the user experience is a little clunky. And then you have wallets, which are very convenient. They're mobile, but They are software wallets, so they don't have a hardware component. So at some point, the keys and the software will touch the operating system. With a seed vault, it's actually coded on the hardware and chip level. So it's actually separate from the operating system. So if you don't want the operating system to see your keys, it never will. So that's the second thing. It's all about security. And the third thing, from a phone perspective, so you can imagine that it unlocks a lot of these new micro experiences that does not exist on web. So it's notification enabled. So you can think about how a DApp can leverage notification and short interactions with the app. So we're hoping to see some dApps come out that utilizes this new, it's not new, but not existing up to this point for Web3. So notifications and short but continuous interaction sessions. So that's one. And the other is phones have a lot of sensors, right? We have like GPS, we have camera, all these sensors that you cannot do on desktop. So whether it's game or like location enabled apps, we're excited to see developers come out with new experiences that actually takes advantage of those sensors.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I'm fortunate enough to have a Saga developer testing unit. And I was pretty shocked when I unboxed it. And the first thing it asked me to do is store my seed phrase. That was like a big moment for me of just realizing, look, this is built different. This is somewhere in between that cold, storage ledger I have at home and that day-to-day wallet that I walk around with. It's really marrying a lot of the benefits of both. And I think what's amazing about this is the innovation around this just being like a massive sandbox for developers to build killer apps and cooler apps than ever before. And I think um, I guess for the benefit of the audience, Laura, like it is, I mean, Saga is a phone. Obviously, it's a flagship Android device with great specs. But how should people think about Solana Mobile? Is it, is it a standard similar to iOS, Android? Is it, could this be licensed to like a third-party hardware manufacturer?
Yeah, so Saga is obviously our first foray into the consumer market. And the reason we have to purpose build a phone is because we know how the future, we have a vision of how the future should look like. But if we do not prove that this is something that people want, um, we won't get the larger companies to buy in. So it goes back to that we're trying to light a fire to show the world that Web3 is coming onto the stage and this is what people want. So that's why we decided to purpose build a phone that has both a hardware component, the C Vault, and also all the software components on it. And we found the best partner that we can do this with, which is awesome. They're the team that came from Essential, and they have a long experience across the whole team of building just really high quality phones. So they take care of that part. But our team, starting from Toli and then Stephen Laver, our head of engineering, has just years and years of experience building software for phones. So we kind of got the dream team here to build a purpose-made phone for Web3. However, like you said, our goal is not to stop here. This is day one. This is the first step. Our long-term vision is that whether it's a Vault or something else, Web3 is here to stay. And self-custody is a right. Everybody should be able to have the safe ways to self-custody, but not be chained or tethered to their computer. So our vision is that every phone in 10, 20 years should have the ability to custody your fund in a way that's similar or is Seed Vault, and then you don't have to worry about your funds walking around or having to sit down and interact with a cold wallet that's tethered to your computer. So that's on the hardware front. So you asked whether we can just implement it as a standard. It's possible, but what we're hoping is that, so SMS is open source. Any chain can come build on it, and there are protocols looking to bring it to iOS. So we're open. We are a team of less than 20 people, so we cannot build everything, but we're very true to the ethos of decentralization and open in terms of Web3 and our building. So like open a PR, open a pull request, help us build out the platform. We want to bring this technology to anyone and everyone. So we this SM, whether it's a mobile wallet adapter or the dApp store, we can actually scale to a much wider audience and chains beyond just Solana, but we can go at this along.
Amazing. So, I mean, what I'm hearing is you guys are really pushing the ball forward for the entire Web3 space. I mean, it's called Solana Mobile, but in theory, this is an open source movement, right? An effort that many other chains could benefit from and kind of feed into.
They can if they are inclined to.
Laura, there's the mobile application grant as well, right? Is that
Correct.
Available for cross-chain builders as well? Or maybe
If
actually before we go into that, what is the mobile grant, Laura?
yeah, so we set up this grant program. At first was to build out the tooling and the kind of infrastructure that could help anyone. But now we've actually recently just expanded the grant program to include anyone who is building something that's just revolutionary or have never been seen on Web3 and on mobile. So this is I believe, a $10 million grant, and then people and projects can submit applications, and we'll review them. And if it's something that's sufficiently new or sufficiently raise the boat, this is something that we can consider writing a grant to.
Amazing. No, this is super exciting, and thank you, Laura, for such an in-depth explanation. My next question is for the whole panel again. We've kind of got the sense now of kind of the walled garden and sandbox that's being built here, and it's incredibly exciting. But I can imagine a future where I log into Dialect, do a trade or a transaction or a swap that executes via ORCA, and then ASSETDASH detects that activity and rewards me based on that behavior with an in real life coupon or rebate or even an NFT. So, how do you guys envision the space becoming more interconnected and kind of the example similar to the example I just described? And how do you kind of plan to make use of it?
Well, I can start, and this is a part of the original vision for Dialect. We started as entirely just a protocol building developer tools that we were hoping folks would adopt and could make basically every application social and incorporate messaging. Ultimately, what we discovered was you needed to have a like first class Web3 inbox before all the rich interactive composable experiences that like what you were describing could happen. And that's why we decided to build out the app. One, because messaging is fundamentally needs to be mobile, and two, you need this Web3 inbox as a place to fulfill our vision for what we call smart messaging. And smart messages are all about this idea that any button, any wallet authenticated button on the internet could basically be rendered and executed anywhere. And so what we want to make possible is the idea that you could execute something using ORCA inside your messages. And then automatically that gets detected by an ASSETDASH, exactly what you described, which is we are all on this globally shared state. And so really what it means to build an application is to build the best user experience and to place the correct context around around these different transactions that you're doing. So for us, the kinds of context that we are building around is social context. So it's a transaction with with messages from an acquaintance you trust built around that message. So your friend knows that you really like a certain kind of NFT or a certain kind of artist and shares a buy now button for an NFT from an NFT marketplace, shares that in your message. And so you say, hey, this is the NFT, this is the artist that I know that you love. This piece just came on secondary. And that it becomes a fully rendered transaction right in your message. Or you could get a notification from ORCA um, about, you could do like a limit, like set some kind of limit order, or like when a price target, like the price of a certain asset reaches a certain place, and then you immediately get a notification from ORCA where that is a fully rendered transaction right in your message to execute a swap using ORCA. Or maybe then it's a question that asks you, oh, like now that you've done this swap, would you like to deposit that in a whirlpool of some kind? And so there's like all kinds of things that you can imagine happening with the right context around it, inside what we're building, which is a messaging app. But there's all kinds of different places where you could imagine composing these different experiences together.
That's incredible. I mean, I can imagine that sort of acting like almost like a crossroads, right, for every activity. I mean, it's like your email inbox for Web3, but less boomer. It's your kind of like daily activity, right? You
Yeah.
kind of almost can even get suggestions and curation of like what activities you want to do today, like gaming. Okay, cool. Here's, a menu of 5 or 6 top games, and here's how you can jump in, right? And I think this is a level of abstraction that's needed, just because for a lot of people, they get into this space and it takes them many months, right? 5 or 6 months to even understand like who's building what, like where do I go to do this, where do I go to do that. And I think that level of abstraction where we can like hold people's hand and kind of lead them on their way, I think is very needed and very refreshing. But I'll pass it to the other panelists. If ever anyone wants to unmute, feel free. Wait, can you guys hear me? Am I rugged?
Oh,
No, I can hear you. I sort of forgot the questions a little bit because I was caught in listening to Mark talk about all the possibilities. Could you repeat the question really quick?
Sure, sure. The question was like pretty much, there's an amazing like sandbox and walled garden being built here, both on the hardware
Yeah,
level with Saga and also on the software level with the Solana mobile stack.
yeah.
How can you kind of envision the interconnections between different apps, and how does Orca or AssetDash plan to kind of make use of that?
Yeah, yeah. So I'll speak on that a little bit. So actually, Mark already gave examples. There's going to be elements. So Orca is a liquidity primitive. So Orca's target user isn't just people who are doing a front end swap. They could also be users who are providing liquidity to make us as capital efficient and as deep of liquidity pools as we do have right now. Orca's audience, actually, one really major audience is builders. So it is possible for a lot of mobile apps to be operating and for users to be interacting with each other uh, using their apps, but actually in the back end with the liquidity layer, they are using Orca. It is no coincidence that AssetDash and DIALECT are here because they're actually also the launch partners of Orca's new product launch, which is coming up at the end of next month, end of April. And I think the thinking, so for me, uh, the reason that we brought on DIALECT and AssetDash to be the launch partners is because we do believe mobile is such a great venue for new audiences of crypto. And if Orca's development roadmap does not allow us to get there first, we can at least partner with the builders who are getting there first and who are building really great apps for mobile users. Um, yeah, so from Orca's perspective, we are kind of attracting or kind of funneling in new users from our builders. So not directly through our application, but there are actually DEXs and DeFi apps that are building for mobile now. So, for example, I remember when me and Laura were in Melbourne, is when Drift announced their plan to launch a app on Saga. And I remember feeling super anxious after seeing their launch message. I was like, oh my gosh, like, do we miss the boat? Was after looking at how many people are using Mobile Explorer to use Drift, they found that actually, I think it was like over 30% of users were accessing Drift through mobile. And then they thought, why not get there first? And I think that is one of the many different strategies a DeFi protocol can adopt. And actually, at least for me, I'm very curious and I'm very excited to see Drift's app come out on Saga and see how users' feedbacks are like and see if that actually will be a very major kind of battleground or playing field for DeFi traders and DeFi liquidity providers.
Yeah, no, I would echo the sentiment there as well. I think you're just going to see a lot more interconnectedness across all of these applications because, as everyone was saying prior, all these platforms are on a shared state. So you could just envision a world where, behind the scenes, you're getting a message from Dialect or you're swapping in and out of a pool on ORCA, but it's happening on an application like ASSETDASH. And even despite all of the technology upgrades that are going to happen on Saga that are going to allow this to take place, I think one of the comments that was made earlier by Laura that we didn't even touch on was the 30% fee that she pointed out. You just imagine the the drama we had in the space over royalties of 5%. The Apple 30% fee, pretty much just that component alone eliminates all of this innovation from taking place on mobile, right? Because you could never have an NFT marketplace where Apple's taking 30% of the fee. No one would ever, buy or sell. It makes it very difficult to swap tokens because, again, nobody's going to choose to pay a 30% fee on token swaps. It's like you're paying a 30% premium on buying the token. So one of the most exciting things is to have this even playing field that Saga will allow for. Is you're going to actually be able to have all of these web primitives that we've become used to in the crypto space actually able to take place on mobile. And I do think you'll have a very blended experience where you'll go into a number of different applications and you'll be clicking buttons, you'll be swapping, you'll be buying things, and there'll be 3 or 4 different applications in the background that are all providing and powering these experiences. And I think at the end of the day, that all leads to the type of UX that is going to be needed to bring the next billion people into crypto. So I'm super excited and optimistic about the future.
In many ways, it's honestly harnessing the full power of the blockchain as well, right? Because it's an open ledger, and typically these applications are siloed. They're running on their own servers. They don't really talk to each other that much unless you're transferring money or like importing a profile or something of that sort or a plugin. And I think this is where developers can get really creative, right? And similar to what you guys are doing, AssetDash, like you have just mountains and mountains of data at your disposal of like being able to slice that and dice that and go back in time and say, hey, pull every single person who's ever purchased bonk or swapped for bonk on ORCA, or anyone who's ever claimed a sticker pack on Dialect, right? And I think that level of just like retroactive like analysis and then being able to like incentivize behavior, being able to kind of enable new experiences and kind of those like delightful like mobile moments, I think for me is what's really cool about this. But yeah, at this point, we've got about 15 minutes left. I want to open the conversation up to more of a roundtable, more of an open conversation. So if any of the panelists have a question for another one of the panelists, or if someone wants to request to speak, feel free to do so as well. We've got TXO as well from the backpack ecosystem, and it would also be good to hear from them and kind of what they're building on the mobile side of things.
Hello, everybody. Well, thanks for giving us the floor. This is Ben here. We're really excited to be building our app on Solana Mobile. If you don't know what TXO is, we are actually a portal to NFTs. We provide aggregator services for Solana NFT marketplaces, collections as well as data. And why we think we're important for the dApp store is we actually provide access to 20 to 30 platforms that don't have apps built already. So you'll be able to access some of your favorite builders in a mobile experience through TXO. And we're just really excited to be part of the Web3 movement. It's been super cool to hear everybody talking today.
Absolutely. And I guess for the benefit of the people in the crowd, TXO, like, how hard or easy is it to get started? Imagine I'm like a Web2 mobile app developer. I don't know much about Web3, but I want to get involved with SMS. Like, how does that process work?
It's been super smooth for us. We didn't have any experience at all building out mobile apps. We actually hired somebody after committing to build on for Saga. And it's been a learning experience for sure, but it's been a super smooth learning experience. The Solana team is very responsive and helpful. The community of builders building out Saga apps are extremely helpful, as you could expect in the blockchain world. So I think it's a pretty easy transition, especially if you already have mobile development experience. It's a pretty easy transition to move from Web 2 building into Web 3 on Saga.
Amazing. So I guess like for the remainder of the conversation, how are you guys I guess approaching this, right? There's going to be this new wave of like distribution and I guess a new channel that's being opened up that was previously not available. How are you guys approaching that, and do you expect like a big difference in the type of users coming in? I mean, like I think sorry, I got a call. The traditional crypto people are more like PC focused, and power users like on their desktop, etc. But do you guys expect like different behavior from the normies that are coming in via mobile, or do you think it's going to be like in a similar line?
Fantastic line to go down about discussion. Our experience, our founders, they actually come from the gambling world, from the internet gambling world, pre-2015. So a lot of our focus and conversations are about user experience and user behavior. And one thing we discovered right away was we can't just copy our desktop experience into the app experience. It works, it's cool, everything's still functional and the user experience is good, but it's not what people expect in a mobile app. So that's where our focus has been, is doing research on what mobile application users expect, what their behavior is, and then just optimizing for that. It's been another part of that journey of building a mobile app for the first time.
Amazing. And I guess for ASSETDASH, I know you guys are like the data and analytics monsters. I mean, I know like just like from just like, interacting with different people, like I mean, even dApps like DGen CoinFlip, they mentioned to me they have like a large majority of their users actually doing flips on mobile at this point. Do you have any like metrics or data on like the kind of mobile adoption, or maybe Laura, if you want to jump in, for like current dApps that were web based or extension based or browser based, and then made the switch over? Do you have any like data points to illustrate it?
So I have data points from different dApps. So the theme that we've heard is that people actually want to interact with the dApps on mobile. It just is an experience that has not been activated up to this point. So we've heard from, say, I think it was Magic Eden who said over 50% of their web traffic actually came from mobile. Browsing traffic came from mobile web browsing. So it could be a in-wallet browsing, or it could be just like directly go to their mobile site on a browser on the phone. So a lot of people want to look at the NFTs, in this case on Magic Eden, to understand what's happening, but they would have to currently either have to buy in the wallet or actually go to their desktop. So people across the board have told us that, or showed us that they want to interact with Web3 on mobile, but currently the experience does not exist. And the other data point that I got was that the majority of Ledger users actually also have the Ledger Connect app um, downloaded on their phone, and they check their holdings that way. And someone asked me, like, why would anyone want to do that? And the simple answer is it's much easier and much smoother experience for people. So what we've learned is that it's not people that innately just want to stay on web. It's because mobile does not exist. Once you actually give them the mobile experience, they actually do gear toward and want to use a mobile experience. But now we're still in pre-launch. We'll probably be able to see a bit more aggregated user data once we launch, how people actually interact with mobile versus web.
Laura, could you share a little bit more? I mean, on I know the Solana SMS Saga is launching on the 13th. When can people actually expect to get those devices in hand?
Yeah, so we are launching on April 13th. Our event is the morning of the 13th Pacific time. So make sure you tune in, and it will be live streamed on YouTube and Twitter. The devices will start shipping very shortly after. So the US and EU might have like a week difference, but in the US, the devices will start shipping the following week.
Perfect.
But
No,
one thing I would say though is make sure if you do want to get your phone early, pre-order and mint your Saga Pass. It will be required to for ordering in the first couple of weeks. So if you don't want to wait too long, make sure that you pre-order the mint Saga Pass.
I think I was one of the first couple hundred people to pre-order, so I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on the device and excited to see the production version. I'm sure it's increased substantially. I mean, the production device was already extremely high quality, so can't wait to see the final device.
Yeah, I would say so I have the DVT unit sitting right next to me, and I've seen a couple production units. So it will feel the same because it is kind of the same hardware, but the software for the DVT units were very much pre-production software. So we put those out to help builders build, let them get a feel of our software stack, and then how their app would potentially look on the device. But the software has improved dramatically, and we can't wait for the world to see the production units of the phone. But yeah, like you said, very high-end phone. The build quality is fantastic. The material is fantastic. It's a ceramic back with some titanium marking, so it just in your hand feels like a very heavyweight device. I think anyone who here has felt a DVT can attest to that. And then on the hardware front, also very high specs. So 6.67 OLED display. I'm not even a hardware person, but I know that's high. And then we have like 512 gigabyte of storage and 12 gigabyte of RAM. So just across the board, high end specs. So it's not just a crypto phone. It's on right. It's a high end device, but on top of it, it has all the crypto functionality enabled.
100%. Going to be exciting to see more people in public kind of having the phone. I think it'll kind of be a surreal moment, I'm sure, for you and the team, but even the broader Solana community will be super excited to see. Maybe as we're kind of wrapping up kind of this spaces, is there any audience questions while we have kind of the guests up here for anybody on the panel? If you have a question, I guess you can either request to speak or also drop a comment on the spaces itself, and happy to kind of answer any of those that people may have. Maybe perfect.
Hey, so Logic.
Hi, nice to
Congrats on your PhD in cryptology.
Thanks so much. Thank you. A huge fan of Solana Mobile. I've ordered 6. I've ordered 6 sagas.
Let's go.
Thank you.
No worries.
We appreciate it.
I have 2 questions. Question 1. Will other Android devices be able to download the Solana App Store during launch? And second question, with Backpack, they're going to have their own XNFT store. How are you going to compete with the App Store there? And what's the dynamic with Backpack? Thanks.
Yeah, so the first question, will other Android devices able to download our App Store? So for the first iteration of Saga devices, the App Store will be exclusive to Saga. And the reason is we want to get the best experience to the Saga users. So there's no technological limitation for us to allow side loading onto existing Android devices, but then all the updating of the dApps or the updating of the App Store will not be automatic. So the reason we kept it to Saga is to actually offer the best end-to-end experiences for Saga users. This is our first device. This is our foray into the consumer market, so we want to do it right. And as soon as we launch the device and we take it to market, we want to start the listening journey. We want to talk to the users, talk to the people who have opinion, whether good or bad, on our device and how we can improve. So sideloading onto Android will hold us back from offering the best experience, both updating the App Store and the dApps. So that's why we made a decision to not go with that in the first iteration of App Store distribution. But it's not to say that it's not an option in the future if the App Store is installed in a way that the experience is on par with what we want it to be. Right now, side loading is just not the best experience that we can offer. So in the first iteration, that is not at the moment an option. It will just be on Saga devices.
Amazing. And then the second part of the question was around Backpack. What is the kind of the dynamic between the decentralized app store on Saga and then the XNFT system inside of Backpack?
Yeah, so we think XNFT is also another interpretation of how we can deliver applications to users. So XNFT, we think, is one of the applications that could potentially become a super app, but also at the same time, they are a wallet. So we are working with the team on bringing them onto the App Store. But on the app front, so there's other things that we can allow people to allow developers to take advantage of, namely the things that are specific to the phone. So the seed vault is one of them. You have to have a hardware component to have the level of security we have envisioned for our users, which is the seed is behind a separate operating system, so the software wallet or software does not touch it. That's one. And two is something I sort of touched on is all the different sensors and different things that a phone could offer you. So namely location, camera, the things that track the movement of the phone that can enable a lot of the use cases for gaming. So those things cannot be activated unless you are an app that has access to those system level sensors. So those are the things that we think what app and App Store is our interpretation of how we bring different use cases to users. But we are big fans of the backpack team. They are shipping like madmen, so really excited to see what's coming out from their camp as well.
I guess you could say they're even shipping like mad lads.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, thank you so much for everybody tuning in, and as always, thank you to ORCA for putting this amazing spaces together. I recently filmed a podcast with the ORCA founders, and that's going to be dropping in the coming weeks. Lots of special details on how ORCA thinks about product and some of their kind of future product roadmap. So keep an eye out on that for as well. But again, this was amazing spaces. I think if I could kind of summarize it, what Solana and the Solana mobile stack is ultimately pushing for is really going to bring users and user adoption to Web3 at scale. And I think kind of the entire industry, no matter what ecosystem or community that you're rooting for, we're all really trying to grow the pie, bring in more people, and really give the promise of kind of decentralization at scale. I think Solana and the Solana mobile stack is going to kind of be the first team to unlock that. So it's a very exciting time. As always, please follow the speakers up here. They put a lot of work and thought into these spaces. Please tune in for the next spaces next Thursday. It'll be a good one as well. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys. And right before we leave, I want to give each of the speakers a chance to tell everyone how they can get involved with each of their products or services. So if we could just do a quick run through of the speakers, and then we'll close this one out.
Sure. Thank you. So actually, ORCA is on a journey to further decentralization. There's actually going to be a working group announcement coming out soon, and it will be asking for participation to contribute to the ORCANauts working group, which is ORCA's OG NFT. So come into the Discord for ORCA and stay tuned for that.
For ASSETDASH, the easiest way to get involved and check out the product is we're on iOS and Android now. We'll be available on Saga shortly, and we're also available on web. Download the app. You'll start getting rewards, access to early applications, access to giveaways, and a whole bunch of fun stuff. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a DM.
Yeah,
Hello, everybody.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Laura. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say from the Solana mobile side, if you are a builder, continue building. The builders got us to this point in Solana and in Web3, so keep shipping, keep building, and start imagining what a mobile platform can be different for the projects and applications that you're building on. And then if you're a user, the builders are building for the users at the other end of the screen. So from our side, very selfishly, we want people to order the phone and start using it. And then we want people to tell us what they like and don't like about the phone and about our platform. That will only help us grow and know how we can better serve these end users. So my call to action: go order, pre-order early, start using them early, give us your feedback, and then we'll keep building and shipping for the users. Sorry, Ben, continue.
Oh, actually, just one more thing before I forget. So ASSETDASH and DIALECT, like I mentioned before, will be launch partners for ORCA's upcoming product launch. And it will be a scavenger hunt of sorts that will be played out on the ASSETDASH Learn platform. And actually, if you do that, complete that, you will not only receive a little token of appreciation from ASSETDASH, but also a token of appreciation that is a gift from DIALECT and ORCA combined. It will be a set of NFT stickers that is crafted by none other than Ori, ORCA's co-founder herself. So stay tuned for that. It's coming out in 2 to 3 weeks.
Awesome.
Thank you
Cool.
all.
Thank you.
Thank you guys, and make sure to pre-order Saga and go crazy with it.
Thank you. See you next week. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Bye.